Doo-wop is a musical art form that's uniquely American, unique to the big cities, New York City street corners, the subway stations, the hallways, reverberated to the sounds of doo-wop in the 50s and the early 60s. Tonight, we begin a special three-part report on doo-wop, then and now.
Lydia, 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 whoa.
Doo-wop is group harmony. It's almost like barbershop with a beat. When people were listening to records like the Five Satins and the Channels and so many of those other tight harmony groups, there were certain songs that were coming out at that particular time in 1956 that had background refrains, like in The Still of the Night. You can listen to it and you'll hear doo-wop, doo-wop.
But my real name is Mr. And now they gonna call me Speedo till they call off making sweetie girl.
They assembled on a street corner, which is, a lot of people use the term street corner harmony. It's where 4 or 5 guys got together, they stood on the corner under a street lamp, and they just started to harmonize.
Hush-a-bye, oh, my darling, don't you cry. Guardian angels up above, take care of the one I love. Oh, hush, hush, hush.
When the people came from the South, they brought their music with them. And they went to major cities like Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, New York. So what they would do to escape the poverty, to escape the hardships, they would just get together and they would sing because they saw it as a ticket out of the ghetto.
I'm a happy man, happy man, happy man, I'm a happy man, happy man, happy yeah, baby, I'm a happy man, happy man, happy man, happy man, happy man, I'm a happy man, happy man, come on now, let's sing the song, happy man, happy man, sing it just one more time, happy man, happy man.
I must tell you that last week the editing rooms here in WNBC were jammed with people trying to help edit this piece because it was just so wonderful to see all the guys back together. Here to talk with us about doo-wop then and now are 3 members of 3 of the top doo-wop groups from the 50s and the early 60s. They are Earl Speedo Carroll, and he's on our left, the lead singer of the Cadillacs, Eugene Pitt, lead singer of the Jive 5, in the middle, and Al Contrara, bass singer with the Mystics. The bass was always a popular guy. Give us a little example here.
That's the guy who goes boom, 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 boom.
You know, and the girls would huddle around the radio and say, "That's my boyfriend." And one went boom, boom. You know. What went through, you know, just chime in anytime you want to. The feelings that you had watching some of these tapes and some of these pictures. Hairdos, you look a little younger then?
Well, the hairdos, you know, as far as going back to the process, you know, that was like more, you had to keep your mop together.
Mm-hmm. Right? There's some guys now who won't even admit they ever wore one, but let's not get into that.
There's several things that the doo-wop would always keep with them, and that would be a headscarf, a sponge,
right?
And an afro pick.
Well, we had a different situation.
Yes, you didn't have to worry too much about the do, Al.
No, we just had the wops. You know, we were the wops.
Well, wait, there's something wrong there. Did you actually stand on the stoops too, Al?
Yeah, we did. We sat on the stoops, and
we thought that was a black thing. I guess that wasn't a black thing.
No, if you know, the Italian neighborhoods had the same thing. You know, we did the same thing. We sat on the stoops in the corners and did our a cappella harmony. Thing is, looking at those pictures, we had a lot more hair.
Yeah.
That changed.
A lot more hair. There's been a lot of talk about the girls' groups lately and how we thought they were all making a lot of money and it all really went to the record executives, whoever they are. What about you guys? Did you make money? Did you hold on to any of it?
Well, it wasn't about the money, and out there mostly it was just about getting on stage. You wanted to sing, you know. You wanted to get on stage and sing and perform and please the audience, and the money was more or less secondary.
It would have been nice, though.
Oh, it would have been.
Yeah. It was nice seeing you standing on 125th Street in front of the Apollo.
Oh, that's my second home.
Well,
A whole lot of people didn't know the Apollo was a hotel also.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, after 12 o'clock, a whole lot of the entertainers used to stay there.
Because they wanted to? They couldn't get out? Or I mean,
most of them had to. That's right.
Eugene, we were mean to you during the tape. We said, Eugene, you were thin and cute back then, and you got a little insulted.
Yeah, I stopped smoking about 5 years ago, and I picked up on the table.
How has, this is 25 to 30 years later for all of us, how has the game changed for you?
Well, most of us are not doing this full time anymore, as you can probably imagine. A lot of us have, after around 1962 and 63, decided that this is not going to be our way of making a living, and we went out and got what we would call normal jobs. You know? And we do this now on a part-time basis, as some of the promoters have put these rock revival shows back together, and we do them occasionally. Some of us are doing some nightclub work, trying to get as much as we can in. Like Speedo said, now it's more for the love of the music than for anything else.
But it is a real joy to be a part of the 50s, you know, and being around artists like Fats Domino, Little Richard, and Chuck Berry, and Elvis Presley's, and relating with those guys, you know.
Well, you had more than the usual experience, because you were two major groups. After the Cadillacs, you went to the Coasters, which were a big deal also. And it's so nice to see that you still have the opportunity to perform now and then. But in your private moments, do you find yourself saying those were the good old days, reminiscing, or are you just totally with it in the spirit now?
Well, I'm not in the spirit right at this moment, but I feel the music back then was like my era. Is what I really felt, and I still do. You know, I'm still in the studio doing that type of music.
Purvis, I forget his last name, Jackson, I think, of the Spinners, was here last week before last. He thinks doo-wops are coming back.
I do also.
Well,
What
they
makes you
never
think
really
this?
went anywhere. If you listen to the top 40, they're doing the tunes from the 50s with the new arrangements, and you can't trade the 50s in for any other kind of music. Those were just beautiful days, you know, the Apollo Theater, Howard Theater, the Royal, the Uptown Theater, and it was just a gas, believe me. It was beautiful then, and it's memories we'll never forget, huh?
Well, I feel if you take all the music out of the groups that recording today, you'll have the doo-wop sound right there.
I think so, too. Al just said something about Billy Joel doing some of the old doo-wops now, but we've got to cut this short. May I tell you what an extreme pleasure it's been to have the three of you here today.
One thing before I go, I have to say happy birthday to my niece, Kawana, and DeRay.
All right, Gene, thank you so much. Tomorrow, in volume 2 of our special report on doo-wops, we'll be talking with some of the people who brought those tunes into our homes and our cars, the disc jockeys, those who played the music then and those who play the music now. Jack?
Great memories from that era. Thanks, Sue. Liz Smith.
Doo-wop, street corner harmony, got very little attention from mass media in the 50s because most of it was recorded on small labels. In fact, it wasn't until the late 50s that some radio stations would air doo-wop. It was considered black music. Disc jockeys and television people like Dick Clark, Jocko Henderson, Clay Cole, and the late Alan Freed were the ones that gave doo-wop its due. Tonight, we continue with our special report on doo-wop, Then and Now.
Hi, guys and gals. We've got a wonderful show planned for you, and we know you're going to have a rockin' good time.
Let's get things underway right now with Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers.
I'm a juvenile delinquent.
Unfortunately, a guy like Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, one of the best groups of all time. Fame hit too quickly for Frankie. 13 years old, traveling all over the country, going to Europe, everything rolling in, and eventually drugs caught up with him and everything else like that, and he died in 68.
Oh, little girl of mine.
Yeah.
Sure look fine.
It hasn't left as far as we're concerned. Doo-wop has been here. This crowd has been consistent for all these years. So it maybe been pushed back a little bit, it hasn't left. It's still around.
There have been people that have been supporting this music for the past 30 years. And what's happened recently is that a lot of young people are discovering it for the first time. They're realizing the basic melodies in a cappella singing.
And then you cry, cry, cry. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your blues away. Your blues away.
You cannot count doo-wop out.
No.
If you count doo-wop out, then you can't, evidently you can't count. It's not Gloria. It's not Gloria. But she's not in love with me.
People miss it. We're on the air now. Joining me now are three people, two of whom were instrumental in opening the door for doo-wop groups in the 50s, early 60s. The other is currently has a top-rated program on WCBS FM called the Doo-Wop Shop. They are Clay Cole, Jocko Henderson, and Don K. Reed. Welcome to Live at 5. Wow, Jocko, you were saying, what memories? What was it like backstage? Everybody was always trying to get backstage.
Oh, sweetie pie, that's where everything happened.
No, it's...
Oh, you weren't in unless you were backstage with somebody.
I'm telling you.
Oh, that's where all the groups were, you know, hey, that's where the best time in the world was had, backstage.
I was reading a book out now called Showtime at the Apollo by Ted Fox, and he was saying a group that made a lot of money, the Shirelles, or not, I don't know about a lot of money, but had a lot of fame, showed up at the Apollo, and really they weren't ready. It was just, I mean, they didn't know their charts, they didn't know, you know, who was who.
Most of the acts didn't.
Was that the case, generally speaking?
Yeah, you know, most of the acts that I used to book in the Apollo on the Rocket Ship show, honestly, after the record, they didn't know from nothing. They came there without any music whatsoever. And usually it was a fellow named Reuben Phillips who had the band there.
Yeah.
And he would have them hum. And now, how does this go again? They say, who did, you know? No charts whatsoever, you know? But eventually they got it together, and hey,
well,
they got it over.
They had to get it together.
They got it over.
Clay, the relationship between the DJ and the performers, did it become a personal one after a while? Because with all the shows that you did and the things that went on.
Sure. I think we were the vehicle that presented the records, and actually I think they learned a lot from the shows. Jocko was talking about backstage. In those days, there was nothing to copy from. You had to, it was all new. Anthony and the Imperials made up all their wonderful stage routines and invented. That was the exciting part of it. Everything was invented. And backstage is when the groups would learn from one another, sing together, learn new harmonies, learn how to dress. I remember one girls group, now famous, very first stage appearance, and they were told you're supposed to wear a different evening gown, so you need several changes. You know, we did 5 shows a day. So they bought yellow dresses, green dresses, blue dresses, yellow dresses, but they wore the red dresses the whole first day, the green dresses the second day. You're supposed to change.
Didn't know,
so that's how you learn, by seeing other acts. Oh, you change your dress every show. That's like...
Don Kay, you have the program now that plays the 50s music. When you started it, did you think that it was going to be as successful as it is?
Yes, I'll tell you why. Because I think there's always been a market for this kind of music. There just hasn't been a place to listen to it.
Yeah.
And I think we gave them the place to listen to it, the Doo-Wop Shop, and they come every Sunday.
How involved do you get with guys that did all the singing back then? The Cadillacs are still around, the Cleftones and Teen Chords, etc.
Well, everybody you just mentioned has been a guest on my show. I have met probably every one of the groups that are still around. That I used to go to the Alan Freed rock and roll shows at the Brooklyn Paramount, New York Paramount, Lower East State. And now they're on my show, and it's a thrill to meet these people and talk with them and really get to know them.
Do you do shtick like Jocko did?
No, not really.
Oh, let's hear a little bit, Jocko. You know, New Yorkers miss you so much.
You know, he was the original rap artist.
Well, all I remember is back on the scene.
This man is probably
come on,
one of the guys
Jocko, come on.
for me getting into it.
Well, we start the show with,
Here you go.
E to the York. Ho, this is the jock and the back on the scene with the record machine saying, "Goo, pop, do, how do you do?" And you know it.
Great Sugar Booger, what was it? Great Sugar Booger.
Great Sugar Booger with a Ooga Sugar Booger.
and All Ruta.
All Ruta.
Gee, all I ever said was, welcome to Palisades Park. This is
But Clay, you were big. You were big. It didn't matter what you said.
Question, no.
Who was considered the snappiest dressing group?
Oh, the Flamingos, I think.
Yeah?
Tommy Hunt,
I would
Chuck
go
Jackson.
along with that. Yes.
Oh, I think so.
I would go along with that.
They
They were
were cool.
immaculate.
Yes.
There's no question about it.
Of course,
Their
Gladys
tie was
Knight,
out
the
of
Pips.
sight.
Yes.
Just right.
Yes.
Everything matched, honest to goodness, you know. They're very particular about their dress. And, of course, they did the job. They kept themselves
Well,
clean.
the Flamingos are still
They're
singing, aren't they, Don?
You know, Jocko said something very interesting. Everybody wanting to get backstage. IMC shows today, it's still the same.
Yeah.
Only the people that want to get backstage are just a little older than they used
It's
to.
only the acts that want to get out from backstage.
When I was going, I don't know, I was really impressed by the dancing of the Pips. Now, I don't know if they got it from somebody else, but I know a lot of groups modeled their steps after the Pips. Before the Pips, because they didn't come until early 60s, really.
That's about right.
But
That's about
55, 56, 57, who was the group that was considered the Twinkle Toes?
Well, you know, the Flamingos go way back.
Still, the clothing and the steps,
Oh,
huh?
yes. And they had a routine that was out of sight. The Imperials,
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. A lot of those groups, they're very competitive. And they got some beautiful steps together and did their thing, okay?
Yeah, what about Sonny Till and the Orioles? Did they just basically come out and sing?
Yeah, that was just a group, right, specialized in beautiful harmony.
Weren't you the first to introduce them at the Apollo, and didn't they break all records? I think Sonny Till was the first rock
you
act.
know, the first show we had in the Apollo Theater was in 1954. You know, that's 30 years ago. You were about 6.
No,
And I wasn't even born.
Yes, he was in knee pants. There's no question about that. You know, and on the show we had Clyde McFadder, see if I can remember. We had Mickey and Sylvia, had that big record out, Love is Strange, you know. And I can't remember who else was it. Well, that was the record-breaking show. Yeah, it was in 54.
Were the Nutmegs, maybe?
No, the
Story
Nutmeg,
Untold?
we had them
Yeah.
on many shows,
Yeah.
but not that particular show. But, you know, we also had Diana Ross and the Supremes on the show. And this was their first time in New York City. And I introduced them. Let's have a nice big New York welcome from a great group from Detroit. Diana Ross and the Supremes, right? In fact, it wasn't Diana Ross, it was Supremes.
Yeah.
And they froze backstage. I had to leave the mic, grab Diana Ross by the hand, and she was shaking like she had St. Vitus dance, scared to death.
They were in front of the audience.
The Apollo Theater, there was something about the Apollo Theater that used to scare them to death.
Well, my dear, people used to throw things if you weren't good. I saw little pennies land on the stage and stuff. They say, throw the paper stuff, it won't hurt anybody.
A few times, possibly, that happened. But it's just, I don't know, something about the reputation of the Apollo Theater. It used to shake them up, something terrible.
Big time.
But on the other hand, excuse me, Don, I just wanted to, in defense of the Apollo Theater, after Jocko sort of broke the ice at the Apollo, I had the opportunity to work there about 4 different weeks.
That's right.
And of all the things I ever did in the 30 years of being in television or making appearances, that was the most exciting thing that I ever did. It was the most professional job I ever worked. The stage crew, of course, they ground out 52 weeks a year.
Oh, yes.
So it was so tight and so professional, and the audiences were so wonderful that I miss having not having the Apollo Theater.
Oh, it was. I'm sure there are a lot of people that miss having that kind of good time. You know, that every week different people. We have to close here, Don. But
You know what I was
you
going
wanted
to say? There was so
something.
much talent in those shows that I used to see the Alan Freed shows or Jocko show. And the ones Clay did, you couldn't afford to put a show on today with the people that used to be in those shows.
Well, who paid them? Nobody got paid.
That's what Earl of Speedo said yesterday. He said, well, it wasn't about money. It was about the music.
That's
you know?
absolutely right.
Well, let me tell you what a thrill it is to have all 3 of you in front of me. And we took memory lane a little bit there, and maybe we can do it again sometime. Maybe next year, same time.
Or tomorrow.
Or tomorrow. Or what the
part
heck.
3.
Would be happy.
But tomorrow, in Volume 3, you will meet 3 of the top doo-wop promoters in the country that's given doo-wop a new life. Jack?
That's fun. Thank you, Sue. Still ahead today on Live at 5.
Some of the best love songs came out of the doo-wop era. Tunes like I Only Have Eyes for You by the Flamingos, who we talked about yesterday. There's A Moon Out Tonight by the Capris, and Tears on My Pillow. No, by Little Anthony and the Imperials, just to name a few. Those songs are still being heard, and surprisingly, so are the groups for the most part. We continue tonight with our 3rd and final segment on doo-wop music then and now.
Where are you, little star? Where are you?
Their voice voices have just gotten better with age. And when people, for the first time, when they go to the shows like the Royal New York Doo-Wop Show at Radio City Music Hall, you look in the audience and you see, they had a show there a month ago, and you see the kinds of people, 6,100 people in the audience, and an awful lot of them grew up with the music, but there's an awful lot of kids discovering it for the first time. They're telling their friends about it. That's why when you listen to songs like Billy Joel's The Longest Time, he is going back to that sound because even he will admit there's nothing purer than that human voice and that a cappella finger-snapping type of music. So the kids are hearing it, and they're liking it, and they want to learn as much about it as they possibly can, so they're buying the records, going to the shows. It's a whole new revolution as far as popular music, a subculture type of sound that has come to the forefront, and now all of a sudden is becoming bigger than ever.
Was this moment I'd share this moment with you. If all that I had was one heartbeat, I'd share. That heartbeat with you.
Joining me now are three producers, rather than promoters, that have put together what's being called the best doo-wop show in the country. The Royal New York Doo-Wop Show, which is held at Radio City Music Hall. They are Joe Contorno, Tony DeLauro, and Frankie Lons.
Hello.
Who was in the Royal Doo-Wop Show? I passed the Radio City Music Hall and I said, who's in it? Because that's all I saw was the title.
The last one at April 7th?
Yeah, the last one, yeah.
Well, we had, you know, about 6 or 7 groups, and plus a real special surprised artist that we consider the best performance by any doo-wop show ever, which consisted of 5 different lead singers from 5 different groups.
We had the Elegants,
and they would, yeah,
the Students.
Now the Students, what did they sing?
I'm so young.
Oh yes,
and they're from Cincinnati, so they don't ever get to come to New York. We're the only people that do that. Bring anybody that nobody wants to pay money to bring a group in that hasn't had a hit in 25 years, but we do.
All originals.
All originals.
Every group we've had on our show consists of all the original,
or at least whatever, whoever is still
they're
alive
or not. But you know, we try to get them all together and put the shows on that way.
Do you ever find yourself in a position of having to audition people because you don't know whether they still have it or not?
Sure, we do now, because we learned our lesson, because we didn't do it in the beginning.
What? Well, tell me, you don't have to name names.
Well,
tell
not
me, give me
naming
an
names, but that's right. Actually, we've had a few doo-wop groups that we were totally in love with by their music and their records, and rather than just say they were on our next show, we'd go down and audition them, because we used to get these groups that are now into this club act they would come on our show with, you know, rather than the a cappella harmony we were looking for, they would come on with this like in a nightclub bit that the fans would not like. So we eventually we had to get into this auditioning situation. Which
you also have problems where, well, I can name 2 groups at least, the Drifters and the Coasters, which have like 2 or 3 different groups, the Platters, 2 or 3 different groups. Which one is the legitimate? I mean, how do you figure all of that out?
It's a very long story, and it would take too long to explain. So what we do is because those groups are pretty popular, more popular than a lot of the groups we use, we tend and keep the philosophy of getting the groups who have been overlooked, but yet we're still as important, and make this the classic American music that it's becoming, which is why we're so serious about it.
Now, you all work on Wall Street, you know.
Well, not all of
us. On Wall Street.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Myself and Frankie Lons both work on Wall Street.
I'm surrounded by Wall Street. I'm in the music business.
You're in the music business full time. Well, at any rate, I mean, you all have a pretty good business sense. It's a sort of a gamble to do what you're doing.
Certainly
have you made money all the way through?
Not really. We started back at the Beacon Theater back in June of 1978, and it took us about 1.5 years to finally see some money. We kept the show very informal at the time with the Beacon, you know, and we reached out to the audience, and I have the distinct honor to MC this show, you know, so it's I have a lot of fun with that, and backstage we have a ball, so it took like a lot of work on our part to grow a great rapport with the audience, and after about 1.5 years, losing so much money in the first 1.5 years, we came back, and now we're proud to say that Radio City Music Hall actually pays us, right, guys, to do the show there. We sell out constantly.
Show at Radio
sold
City.
out the fourth.
You cannot buy it. We had to buy tickets ourselves to the last one.
Oh, come on.
Absolutely. We have big families, you see. We're only allowed 10 tickets apiece.
Well, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have been able to do it because I was enjoying producing the show, and they were, you know, the show that they had dreamed about or wanted to do. And we finally clicked. We got the audience to believe that we were doing it properly.
Why did you pick this era music? I mean, as I said before, it was a bit of a gamble. Why music of the 50s and early 60s as opposed to now?
It hadn't been commercialized, for one. It had been overlooked.
But there had been a lot of oldie but goodie shows.
Not doo-wop shows.
Revivals,
they were all
more or
the
less.
popular ones. They were revivals, rock and roll revivals. This is the next classic American music. It's harmony music. It's not just musicians. It's the classic American music. That's why we dressed for the occasion.
And you said that there are one or two groups singing a cappella.
There are a lot of groups. We have certain philosophies. We make sure we have a cappella groups. Some new ones, 19 to 22-year-old group from New Jersey called Charm, who was on our last two shows. They're 19 to 22. They weren't even thought of being born when this music started. Sonny Till and the Orioles in 49. That's when I was born.
Well, there was a reference yesterday to the fact that the guys that were sitting here, was it yesterday or the day before? Anyway, that said that Billy Joel has been...
Yeah, he's got the Innocent Men album, but that's Billy Joel singing. If it was anyone else... I would like to see him really get to be a big star or a big hit out of that doo-wop. It's hard to say, but he's got a name for himself. We've taken it one step further with the film we've got coming out in October. That's it's about the doo-wop music and also about the music of today. We bridged that generation gap between the father and the son, and it's a great film that's got love and it's got music and romance and it brings the father and the son together. It'll be coming out in October.
I'm certainly going to look forward to this because this music was music of my era of growing up, and I really enjoyed it, and it's been a pleasure these last 3 days to deal with
You did a great job, by the way, sir.
Thank you very much, and I wish you all the success because I'd like to see some of it continue all the time.
We're going to keep
thank
going.
you.
We're going to keep this going.